Hi there, Sebastien Richrd here. I'm an author. I'm also a Bible teacher, and I help Christian leaders and Christian ministers to write and to complete the book that God put on their heart. So, as a Christian writing coach, there are three major excuses that I hear from those who procrastinate on writing that very important book that God put on their heart. So today, what I wanted to do is I wanted to look at those three excuses. I wanted also to debunk them, and I wanted to provide some simple solutions along the way to encourage you and to help you to write that book. It was Les Brown, the motivational speaker, who said, people have one of two things: results or excuses. So, what do you have? I'm asking you, what do you have today? Do you have results? Is your book advancing the way it should? Or do you have excuses? So, today we're going to look at those three main excuses that Christian leaders give to basically why they're not writing their book. So, the number one excuse that I hear, and I've heard that one a lot, I think it is number one: I don't have time. I don't have time. I'm busy. I'm a busy man. I'm a Christian leader. I'm a Christian minister. I'm a pastor. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm busy. I don't have time. Correction. I have to correct that right now. Correction. It's not that you don't have time. It's that you don't take the time. You don't prioritize the writing project. So writing, as you probably already know, requires discipline. It requires sacrifice. When there's a will, there's a way. Now, you don't have the time to write a book. You don't you don't you don't need to have the time to write a book. You need to take the time to write a book. Now, that's what you need to understand here. So nobody has time to write a book. It's not something that we have time to do. It's something we take the time to do. So you take the time to write it. Now, this means that you'll have to sacrifice time in other spheres. So you might sacrifice some golf time, some leisure time. For some of you, it's some TV time or sporting events time, some friends time, or even you might have to sacrifice, for a while anyway, some family time. Now, the point is, you have to be willing to set time apart to get the work done. Now, here's what I've noticed, and these are just maybe guidelines that might help you with this time management thing. Some people like to write every day or every 2 days. So they basically set apart a portion of time every day or every 2 days. It can be anywhere between half an hour to a few hours a day, depending on, first of all, the possibility of how many minutes or hours you can put on the book. But it's a question of discipline. So they decide, okay, I'm going to write 30 minutes a day, or I'm going to write 45 minutes every 2 days, which might be a little bit more challenging, because if you write every day, you're always getting back to it. You're always staying fresh in your writing. If you write every 2 days, it might be a little harder, a little more challenging to get back in the flow of your ideas. But the point is, they schedule time for that. Others set time weekly. They set, because they're extremely busy and they have no other way than to do it that way. I know an author who had a full-time job and who got up every Saturday very early and began writing around 6 a.m. until noon. That's a huge writing block, and I don't know how she did it, but 6 hours is a big mental effort. She must have been exhausted at the end of the day. But the point is, this person was very busy. She had a full-time job, a career, and the only time she could find to write that book was by setting apart this huge block from Saturday morning, 6 a.m. to noon, every week, consistently. Myself, I can give myself as an example. I wrote my first and my second book while I had a full-time job, and I was a dad to two young children. So I wrote on evenings because I worked. I wrote early mornings because my job was like an evening kind of shift. So it was like between 2 and 10 o'clock. So I wrote in the morning before I went. And when I got back, if I had a few ideas, I jotted them down quickly on the document to remember them the next day when I was going to tackle the book again. I also wrote on weekends. I remember as a father of a young family, it wasn't easy because on summer weekends, I remember Elizabeth, my wife, she would take the kids to the beach on a beautiful summer day. We live in Prince Edward Island, Canada. We have beautiful beaches here. And when it was sunny and nice, she'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to the beach. Are you coming? And I was like, you know what? I'll stay behind because I want to advance in the writing. So I had to sacrifice that time where it would have been more fun, obviously, to be at the beach, taking in some sun and seeing the waves and all that. But I decided to stay behind. It happened a few times, quite a few times actually, on weekends that I did that. So I stayed behind and worked on the book. So in other words, I was intentional about doing the work, setting apart the time. So it's not a question of I don't have time to write, is I'm not intentional about setting time aside to write. So that's what you have to do. Number 2 excuse that I hear a lot, and this might be yours, I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write. I've heard this time and again. It always kind of surprises me when I hear that from a Christian author, from a Christian person who says they're called to write a book. Doesn't really jive with the character of the Lord, but I'm going to get into that a little later. So first of all, I want to say that writing a book is a fairly simple process, and it's much simpler than it may feel in your mind. Okay, so many people struggle with a sense of overwhelm when it comes to writing their book because they see it as some climbing a very high mountain like Mount Everest. It's like, oh my goodness, I'll never make it. It's so huge. It's so complicated. How can I do this? And they basically, they overcomplicate it with their own minds. So they're their own worst enemy. But you know what? If you have a vision for the book, it almost writes itself. And I'm not kidding you here. This is really real. And I've seen it time and again when an author, even someone who's never written a book, when they get that vision and it's crystal clear and they're like, oh, this is what I'm going to write. Man, that book gets written real fast, even if they've never written before. So most people's problems do not have to do with overwhelm, but with lack of vision. See, you have to see the book before you write it. You have to have a vision for that book. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 2 says, then the Lord replied, write down the vision and make it plain on tablets so that a herald may run with it. So write the vision down on a tablet. God didn't tell Habakkuk to write, this is very important, God didn't tell Habakkuk to write a vision. He told him to write the vision that he would show him, the vision. So there was great clarity there. So there's a tremendous difference between feeling called to write a book and being shown to write the book. So that's the difference between a feeling that someday you're going to write a book, or maybe that you should write a book, and the conviction and the commitment that comes from writing the book that you know you have to write. So when you have clarity, the vision pulls you. Let me repeat that. This is so important. When you have clarity, the vision pulls you. It basically pulls the book right out of you. And the book almost ends up being writing itself. So you see, there's a difference, a big difference between writing a vision and the vision, between writing a book and writing the book that God has shown you. So no vision, no clarity, that's possible. Maybe that's your situation. I tell you, no problem. No problem. The first thing you need to figure out is if God has indeed called you to write a book. That's the first thing. You may feel that maybe it would be a good idea, that maybe it would be something you'd like to do, but maybe there's that lack of clarity that you just need to really crystallize, and God can help you with that. Obviously, God can help you with that if you pray, but I can also help you with that. If you don't have clarity, I'm here to help. I created a terrific free webinar titled, Has God Called You to Write a Book? 10 Telltale Signs That You Should. I'm going to share the image here with you. It's right here. Boom. So, has God called you to write a book? 10 Telltale Signs That You Should Write That Book. So, it's a free webinar. And I'm going to post in the comments and in the description of this video that you're watching right now, the links that to access that webinar. It's an hour long, so I recommend you set some time aside. We were talking about setting time aside. You set some time aside. You watch that webinar, and I go through the 10 telltale signs that God has called you to write a book. It's going to give you more clarity, and it's going to help you on your author's journey or potential author's journey. So trust me on this, okay? I've seen it 100 times. When God wants us to write a book, he shows us what book to write. Let me repeat that. When God wants us to write a book, he shows us which book or what book to write. So that's something that you can take to the bank. Number 3, the third reason, we're getting to the last reason now, that most Christian leaders procrastinate and do not write their book is this one. I don't know how to navigate the process or the how to. I don't know how to navigate the process, the how to. So obviously, this also ties into the overwhelm that a lot of people feel. So you might have the book down. You know exactly which book God wants you to write. So you already have a very good starting point. But the process intimidates you. So there's a process to writing a book. I mean, we're talking about roughly 150, 200, 300 page work. So obviously there's a process. However, much of this process is to be tackled more towards the end than at the beginning of the writing of your book. And a lot of people don't know this. They think that right away they have to get on editing. Right away they have to have everything clear before they begin. But the only thing that you really need to be clear at the beginning of writing that book is the theme, the idea, what you want to write, what you want to put down, and the information you want to give to your readers. That's what you need as for clarity, what we were talking in point number 2. So once you have that, man, you can write 50, you can write 100 pages, and it's going to go pretty well. So the problem with the I don't know how to is it has to do more with the other stuff that people get, they stumble onto, the editing, the structuring, the cover and interior design, and all that technical stuff. Sometimes people get tripped up by that stuff instead of the actual writing of the book, which is what gets you through it. So sure, you'll have to familiarize yourself with the process and all that stuff, all the technical stuff, because it's part of it. But and that might surprise you, it's mostly going to be towards the end of the actual writing, the work of writing that manuscript. So you shouldn't stress over this as you begin writing down the vision, as we saw in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2. So you start writing down the vision. You just go and write as much as you possibly can. So don't use all the other stuff as an excuse to trip you up. It doesn't have to stand in the way of your writing. You can easily get 50 pages written without tackling any of that stuff, even editing. You don't have to do that as you go. A lot of people think they have to edit as they go, and that trips them up. You don't have to touch that. So you can write 50, 100 pages. You can even finish the whole manuscript, the whole meat of the book, before you even tackle some of that technical stuff that might put you in overwhelm mode. So guess what? I know this can be a little intimidating, a little maybe scary because it's new, but I created a course, and it's a one-of-a-kind course specifically for Christian leaders, and I titled it, How to Write a Nonfiction Christian Book. I did it to address all of the process and its intricacies. So in the course, I address everything that you need to know about the outline, the editing, the publishing, how to find a good title, how to get a good cover done, all that stuff that might be overwhelming right now that trust me, you don't have to tackle it to begin writing. but I do tackle it in my wonderful course that I titled How to Write a Nonfiction Christian Book. So I penned that course. I created it with PowerPoint slides because I felt that Christians needed a great course that would help them to navigate the how-to of writing a nonfiction Christian book. So you can check the link to that wonderful course. It's below in the comments and in the description as well. So go check out the links I provided in this short video. Follow the free webinar, okay? Because the free webinar will really give you more clarity and understand, first of all, what has God called you to write a book. That's one of the first things that you need to know. And second of all, is this course that Sebastien Richrd is offering a right fit for me? So it's going to help you understand and see a bit more clearer in that. That said, I would love to coach you. I would love to help you to get not just any book, but the book that God asked you to write. I would love to get you that book, to help you to get that book done, to get that book out in the marketplace. And I can tell you, as I end this video, I can tell you this. I know that you can do this. I know you can do this, but it will not get done. The project will not get done. The vision will not be written in a tablet or on your laptop unless you know that you can do this. And you know what? I can help you with your mindset and I can help you with the process. So yeah, all you have to do is go to that webinar, check it out. And if the course is right for you, you know what to do. There's clear instructions. You can just sign up for the course and start the project and follow those modules and get it done. Get done the book. Write the vision down. The book that God has shown you. Man, I just realized I had this webinar thing on the whole time. I forgot to take it off. Forgive me for that. So I hope this video has helped you. I hope it's helped you to maybe exorcise those demons that are preventing you right now from writing the book. And hope to hear from you soon. God bless you as you do what he has asked you to do. In this case, writing that book.